My girlfriend and I had the same ghostly visitation last night. Posted by u/sumo Cameron. Hi all. I'd like to preface this by saying that I'm not superstitious at all, at all. I don't believe in this stuff, or at least I didn't. After last night's occurrence, I feel in a strange position. How can I not believe something weird is going on? I have had the same thing happen to me several times now. If anything, it's more annoying than it is creepy. During the night, usually deep into my sleep, I'll wake up and in my waking moments I'll see a white face rushing towards me. It's terrifying. And, I imagine that I'm not alone. I imagine that this is a super common occurrence with sleepers everywhere. It's only a minor thing, nothing to worry about. But last night, something felt different. All night I felt weird. My girlfriend was going on a big trip early in the morning today, so she needed an early night last night. I joined her around 9:30, not wanting to wake her up whilst she slept, and then I began to try to sleep. And boy did I try. I tried until probably way past midnight, until I finally fell asleep. And then I woke up. I turned over in my sleep, opened my eyes, and I saw two old women. They rushed towards me and I damn near jumped out of my skin. They disappeared, but I was terrified. I had experienced this before, but this felt different. Why was there two? And why were they more than just faces? That was okay though, I soon got over my concerns and began to fall asleep. 5 minutes later my girlfriend shoots up, shouting "Oh my god" and looking genuinely terrified. I quickly roll over and wrap my arms around her, comforting her, squeezing her tight. I strangely already know what she's experienced. Why do I know what happened? I ask her, already knowing the answer. An old man ran at me, she says, her half-asleep brain making it sound real. I leave it at that. I let her sleep. I don't tell her that the exact same thing happened to me 5 minutes ago. The next morning I probe her more, now there's no risk of ruining her sleep. Did the old man last night rush at you like this? I ask, miming it. Yeah, why? She asks. And did it come from this angle? I ask, holding my hand up at the corner of the bed that I saw the old woman from, bringing it down towards her. She nods. Yeah. From there. Why? She asks. Because the exact same thing happened to me 5 minutes before it happened to you. I tell her. We have been curious all day, thinking about this. I already told our story online and had somebody tell us it was a premonition of death. I'm not sure what to believe. What do you think? At first, I didn't want to believe him. Posted by u/crazyturtlemama. Having so much history myself with the paranormal, I don't freak out over creaks in the floor or the occasional door shutting on its own. I believe most things can be explained. When we first moved into this house in Washington 3 years ago we saw a few random orbs here and there, nothing that felt harmful. In fact, one orb even danced to the music alongside my granddaughter one day and it felt like a child. The house sits on acres of field, surrounded by forest and a few farms. For some reason, the guest room, laundry, and bathroom are always freezing cold, plus cool air comes from the guest bedroom closet. I keep a blanket hanging up in the hall doorway to keep the cold isolated. I figure those rooms are just cold because they are added on and are built halfway over our well. I have my mother's ashes in my home, but at the same time, I felt bad because when I was asked if I wanted my sister's ashes later it scared me for some reason, I don't know why. She was a very loving person, but for many years I felt darkness around her and I just couldn't. A year passed and that fear left me. I remembered her telling me one day before she died that she had a recurring dream of her death and she was stuck in the desert. It then dawned on me that her ashes were being cared for by my daughter who lives in the desert. It was time to let her be here with Mom. After she arrived, her ashes were placed next to our mother's ashes outside my room, and like my mother, she was surrounded by some of her mementos. At first, there wasn't a problem, but after time that's when the kids started seeing and experiencing things that made them feel uncomfortable. It didn't feel like my sister, this was something else. Strangely, absolutely no one in the family has felt her presence since she passed. I know my kids looked towards me for assurance. I guess they thought that like in other homes I could just make it all go away, but I think this stayed hidden from me in the beginning and preyed on those who showed fear, so it was targeting my grown kids, that being my son and his fiancée. I feel bad. I kept telling my son that there was nothing here and that our house wasn't haunted because we cleansed it after my sister passed away. Cody, if you're reading this, I apologize for not wanting to believe you at the time. I was just trying to protect you and the kids from being scared. So these are a few things that have been happening in our home for the past few years. One late afternoon I was at the store, so my son and fiancé were watching my 2 grandchildren for me. They were playing hide and seek and they both took turns hiding from the kids in the guest room closet. They told me that something wasn't right in there. Each of them experienced what they said felt like somebody or something taking up space with them in the closet practically in their face. It has been a toy room in the beginning but the kids wouldn't play in there. The only person who has slept in there with no problem is my ex on a visit. He was a non-believer until just the other day when we were sitting in there watching a show together and we observed his dog intently follow something move around the room. Then the bathroom door opened, his dog watched whatever it was going into the bathroom and the door shut behind it. At that point his dog dove under his blanket. My ex's eyes were as big as saucers and he asked me if I saw what he saw. Laughing inside at the former non-believer I said yes. No one else will sleep in there, not even me. 6 months ago my son told me that he went into the kitchen to grab something to drink the night before and he saw a dark shadow over his left shoulder and his reflection on the microwave. He turned around quickly to look behind him and there was nothing there. He still felt something close to him and the hair on his arm and neck raised, so when he looked in his reflection, this time in the window over the sink, and again it was back with its head even closer to his. Then the cabinet door shook back and forth, then opened all the way and shut. He said that he yelled, not caring if he woke anyone up, and ran upstairs to his room. I don't blame him. Many times he and his fiancée have seen big shadow masses in corners of various rooms, but never in my bedroom, waiting outside my door where my sister's ashes are, but never inside my room. There was a time not too long ago they both were sitting in my van talking one night and they said the form of a man came out from behind the tree, crossed the grass, and sat with his hands in his lap on the front porch bench, then faded away. When they told me about the bathroom, oh my, that bathroom, I can't even. His fiancée was taking a bath after everyone went to sleep as to not disturb anyone. She was relaxing in our big gold claw bathtub in the quiet of the night and she heard us all sleeping, so she knew for a fact nobody is up. There was a tapping on the bathroom door. She answered, "Who is it?" No response. The doorknob started to jiggle then stopped. She said again, "Who is it?" "I am in the tub." Still no response. She thought that whoever it was decided to go to the other bathroom, so she relaxed, and as she was laying there something felt off and she heard a noise at the door and she watched as the doorknob slowly unlocked itself. When she told me that, my blood went cold. This didn't just happen once. My son was sitting in there and he heard tapping followed by the door unlocking on him too. The other day my son said that he had to go to the bathroom around 3 in the morning. He knew everyone was all asleep because he heard us all snoring, so he didn't quite shut the door all the way, but it was closed. He heard heavy breathing as if someone had their mouth at the crack of the door. Then he heard a quiet voice whisper, "I can hear you." That poor boy was scared to death. I for the first time experienced the doorknob unlocking on me 3 times in a row in my bathroom last night. That surprised me. It has not always been bad experiences here though. Since my mother passed I feel her sometimes around me, we all do. Just last month I was talking to my son in the living room and I saw a light. We don't live near a street, so it wasn't from a car. It was soft and illuminating as it floated from the front window curtain around to the wall behind my son. I got such a warm feeling and said, "Hello mama," and watched as it went behind the recliner where my son was sitting and then up behind his head and disappeared. He didn't see this or know why I said that. Just then he shrugged his shoulders up and put his hand on the back of his head, saying that it felt like his hair was stroked. That brought tears to us both. We all know when she is here because it feels warm and loving like her, and sometimes we smell her sweet perfume. My grandson, who is autistic, was too young to comprehend my mother's death. He sometimes talks to her, almost like he is answering what seems to be a question. He is only 6 and has the purest soul. I wish I could hear her voice speak to me again. And then you have things happen that at the time you don't understand, but when you find out, everything falls into place. This was one such time. In March we had a few aluminum balloons left over from my grandson's birthday and they lasted a very long time. All of them fell to the floor except one particular balloon. It kept following me midway in the air around the house. The air conditioner nor heater was on and all the windows were shut. I went to my bedroom and it followed and stayed by my bed. I went into the laundry room and it followed there as well. This went on for a solid week. After a while, it started getting annoying, but we didn't think anything of it. We just swatted it away. One day my son and I were talking in the kitchen and it came in from the living room where we just saw it laying on the floor moments before and lowered itself to go under the door frame and stopped mid-height between us. He took it and pushed it back in the living room. Not even 4 minutes later and it was back mid-height between us. This time he put it all the way in the laundry room and it made its way back, lowering to come through this time 2 door frames, and stayed floating midway between us again. At that point it was too weird. We both looked at each other and said nah. So I took it and said, okay, if this is you, Mom, Do it again. I put it back in the living room and it stayed there floating. It didn't feel like her at that moment, it felt different, almost familiar, but not in a bad way. We went back to talking and there it was again between us. Well, I didn't know this at the time. In fact, I just found out a few weeks ago that my dear friend passed away in March and his family didn't have my number to tell me. One of the last things he told me was that when he dies he is going to come harass me just for fun and to let me know he is here and he loves me. When I found out I called out to my son saying it was Tom. It was Tom. After I told him the sad news he said that it gave him a bit of peace. We all knew that this is something he would do and it blew our minds. I just wish I found out then so I could have told him that I love him too. 3 nights ago I saw a light low to the ground in the kitchen and 5 minutes later my granddaughter saw the same light formed like a feather fluttering in front of her. My son also told me that a light trailed up over and across in his room. Another time he walked into my room and saw a light above my head. My neighbor is confident something happened on this land. I talked to him to see if he had been having experiences or seeing anything unusual without making myself look crazy. He said that he does not go out after dark but he has heard the screams in the forest and his pets acting strangely from time to time. As we were talking his roommate came home and asked what we were talking about. When I told him, he pointed to the young man I was talking to first and said, "You see, I'm not nuts." Apparently he has seen things as well and calls what he sees in his bedroom a demon boy because he doesn't know what it is. He even saged in his room, and if you think about it that goes along with the orb that danced with my granddaughter when we first moved in, and no it's not a demon. I think that perhaps a child is in some way connected to the property and it might roam. We have seen so many beautiful things here that it outweighs the bad. Someday after I'm gone I hope to be a part of that. I want to be the whisper of encouragement in my loved one's ear and a gentle stroke upon their face. I want them to always know that they don't have to be afraid and that they are, and always will be loved from now until forever. As for what is here in this house? I think since I have been more aware of the darkness it shows itself less. I do enjoy feeling my loved ones around though and my kids do too. Someday we will move from this place and hopefully, only our loved ones will follow. Update July 16, 2020. So today when I arrived home after running errands, my ex, the ex-non-believer, told me that without a doubt he saw something. At first, I told him to stop playing around because I thought he was making fun of us. I've known this man for 24 years so I know when he is serious. He was definitely shaken. He said that he was standing in the guest room and he was about to go in the bathroom to wash his hands when someone tall who he thought was my son turned on the light and darted into the bathroom really fast, closing the door behind him. He waited for a bit but didn't hear anything. He got tired of waiting so he washed his hands in the kitchen. Still not hearing anything for a while he went to the door and asked if my son was okay. Still no answer but the light was still on. Finally, he opened the door only to find nothing. Confused, he went to my son's room and knocked on his door to ask him why he did that and left the light on. But when my son came out of his room he was wearing a burgundy shirt and pants. With a shake in his voice my ex asked if he changed his clothes, to which my son responded with no. Why? The person my ex saw was wearing a blue t-shirt and shorts. My son told me that when he opened the door my ex turned pale. Update July 18, 2020. My son's fiancée was in the kitchen today and we were all putting away groceries. She has mid-length hair and in front of everyone her hair flipped up like someone tossed it. It freaked her out and she said it gave her shivers. Sorry this post keeps getting longer.
Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos.